This episode of FineScale Modeler's new product rundown features Kitty Hawk's FJ-2 Fury, Academy's new Tomcat, Italeri's big Alfa Romeo, Airfix Armor, and Polar Light's Enterprise.
New product rundown brought to you by Hobby Zone USA, your source for hobby storage solutions, hard-to-find hobby tools, and aftermarket modeling needs. And by Cult TV Man's Hobby Shop, carrying a wide selection of Star Trek, Star Wars, 2001, and other great science fiction models.
Welcome to the new product rundown, FineScale Modeler's monthly video series that shows you the latest kits and accessories. I'm Elizabeth Nash.
I'm Aaron Skinner. We've got a whole bunch to get through today. Let's start with Kitty Hawk's 1/48 scale FJ-2 Fury.
This navalized version of the North American F-86E included new landing gear, an arrestor hook, and 4 20mm cannons in place of the Sabre's 6 50 caliber machine guns, and entered service with Marine squadrons in 1954.
It was never really suited for carrier operations and was replaced within a couple of years by the more powerful FJ-3 Fury.
According to ScaleMates.com, this is only the second injection molded 1/48 scale kit of the subject, the other being Lindbergh's 1958 offering.
Now, Eschi at one point in time modified their 1/48 scale F-86E to make something resembling a Fury, but it has shape issues. Let's see how Kitty Hawk's done.
Surface detail on airframe components such as the fuselage is recessed panel lines and rivets.
The fuselage is divided into front and rear sections, with frames at the division and an engine with halves and front and rear fans, but no provision is given to display it open.
The good news is that the front fuselage sandwiches a full-length intake trunk that starts behind a one-piece nose ring.
Cockpit detail comprises a multi-part ejection seat that matches photos of those in Furies, and we'll get a photo-etched metal harness. There's a floor with back wall, side walls with molded controls on the consoles, control stick, pedals, instrument panel with sharply molded bezels, and shroud.
The cockpit is bracketed by bays for the 20mm cannons with ammunition feeds. The bay doors are separate, as are the ammo bins under the nose with doors that can be posed open. The muzzle openings are an insert for the nose.
The wings come with a one-piece center belly section and upper inner sections. The outer sections are separate and can be posed folded or extended. The leading edge slats are designed to be posed drooped on the molded actuators. The ailerons and flaps are also separate.
The one-piece all-moving tailplanes have thin trailing edges, as does the rudder that attaches to the vertical stabilizer.
Other features include posable speed brakes, arrestor hook, optional vents, sharp landing gear with detailed doors, and a pair of underwing fuel tanks.
Clear plastic provides a posable canopy and windshield, lights, and gun sight.
Decals provide markings for 5 colorful Marine Corps Furies, all in overall natural metal, including stencils.
This release also includes a pair of resin figures, a pilot climbing into the cockpit, and a ground crewman.
While it remains to see how this kit goes together, it does come with plenty of details and options and should be a welcome addition for fans of the Navy's early jet fighters.
While we are looking at Navy aircraft, here's the first of our sponsored products thanks to Model Rectifier. It's Academy's 1/72nd scale F-14A.
Unlike the FJ-2, the Tomcat has had plenty of love in plastic, and Academy's done an outstanding job here.
To begin with, the surface detail on the 212 gray plastic parts consists of fine recessed panel lines and petite rivets. The airframe is divided into front halves around the cockpit, fronted by a one-piece nose cone. The bulk of the plane is split into lower and upper halves with more fine surface detail, including open vents and antennas. Each intake tunnel is a single part with thin lips. Also of interest are the inserts for the cannon cover that have different vent configurations. Only one is needed here.
Inside the intakes are upper panels and 2-part inserts, then with engine front fans. Optional fans indicate other versions of the Tomcat are likely forthcoming. At the other end are one-piece jet pipes with rear fans. Optional nozzles allow them to be posed open or narrowed.
The cockpit consists of a tub with inserts for the consoles, front, and rear instrument panels with shrouds. Again, note the unused parts for another version, and controls. It sits atop a detailed gear bay.
The wings have upper halves molded with full flaps and ailerons that join lower wing inserts. They can pivot, but rather than interlocking, they click into place with a small catch. Optional gloves allow the wings to be built fully open or swept.
The one-piece horizontal stabilizers attach at pivot points, and the vertical tails mount on substantial ridges, so should be easy to align. Also thin are the strakes under the tail.
The landing gear looks terrific with fine struts front and rear. The outer hubs for the rear wheels are separate from the tires. The thin gear doors have detail molded inside. Also impressive is the engineering for the small probes on the fuselage. Rather than having pin ends that can be tough to align, these are molded with substantial plugs that appear to match panel lines.
The kit comes with an air superiority loadout, including 4 AIM-54 Phoenix missiles, as well as 2 AIM-9 Sidewinders, and 2 AIM-7s. The presence of later missiles is another indication of other Tomcats coming. 2 drop tanks are also provided.
Clear parts supply a separate windshield and posable canopy.
Cartograph decals give markings for a single aircraft, a CAG bird from VFA 143, known as the Pukin Dogs aboard USS America in 1976.
This is a terrific looking kit and I can't wait to see how it goes together.
Thanks, Model Rectifier, for the sample. They're responsible for our next kit featured in...
From the creators of New Product Rundown, it's Scale Auto Car Corner.
Welcome to this installment of Car Corner. I'm Tim Kidwell, editor of Scale Auto Magazine. And thanks to our sponsor, Model Rectifier, we have this beautiful Italeri 1/12 scale Alfa Romeo 8C2300 Monza.
This 1930s race car featured a supercharged inline 8-cylinder engine displacing 2,336 cubic centimeters.
Driven by one of the famousest race car drivers in history, Tazio Nuvolari, this car won numerous Grand Prix and endurance races.
As far as we know, this all-new kit is the first one of this car in any scale, and it's a tour de force.
The 300-plus plastic parts come molded in color with red for the body parts. They include the shell for the cockpit with fine rivets and an open vent, the rear body with fuel filler, tail, rear and front chassis covers, firewall, nose with radiator opening, and the hood sections, which include hinge details and fine vents.
Also provided in red are the chassis side rails, cross members, front suspension, rear axle, drive shaft case, as well as steering and brake components.
The leaf springs, part of the brakes, and the multiple sandwiching components for the friction disc shock absorbers are molded in silver.
As are the engine parts, including the block halves molded with the transmission, sump, head, air cleaner, intake manifold, supercharger, radiator, plumbing, and more.
Just like the real car, the interior is pretty basic, including a floor, seat, dashboard, steering wheel, pedals, and more. The black plastic tree also provides an oil tank and exhaust manifold leading to the pipe that runs the full length of the car.
Parts plated with thin chrome include the heads, hubcaps, hood clasps, shifters, and radiator trim. A single clear part is given for the small windscreen.
Each of the car's wire wheels builds from 3 sandwiching sections. They get wrapped with soft vinyl tires with sharp tread and minimal mold seams.
The wheels, like many of the assemblies, attach to the axles with tiny screws and nuts. That should make assembling the major parts after painting easy. The kit also supplies black and gray vinyl tubing to wire and plumb the engine, dashboard, and fluid tanks. And there is string to wrap around the exhaust and mimic heat shielding. There is also mesh to form an alternative air cleaner cover.
A photo-etched metal fret provides the radiator grille, windshield supports, air intake brace, exhaust cover, and the Alfa Romeo logo.
Decals supply dials, placards, gold pin striping, and numbers for one of Nuvolari's cars. Alternatively, pre-cut masks are given for the numbers if you prefer to paint them.
There's a ton of detail here, and at more than a foot long, it's going to make a standout model. What's also nice is at 1/12 scale, it matches Tamiya's big racers and will make a great comparison model.
Look for a full buildup of Italeri's Alfa Romeo in upcoming issues of Scale Auto Magazine.
Thanks for watching. Visit scaleautomag.com for even more.
Next, we take a quick look at Airfix 1/35 scale armor.
In the past, Airfix armor meant 1/72 scale, but they have recently released several larger scale kits.
Looking to expand its reach, the British stalwart has launched into the most common armor scale by reboxing Academy kits.
One is the Tiger 1 Late. It comes with a one-piece lower hull, steel road wheels, pin suspension arms, drive sprockets and idlers, and one-piece vinyl tracks.
Body parts like the turret halves, upper hull, engine deck, and glacis all have sharp surface detail. Fine parts are nicely molded, and there's a figure.
There are photo-etched metal engine screens and gun sights, and Airfix includes a metal tool to texture Zimmerit in putty on the vehicle. Nice.
A small decal sheet gives markings for 2 Tigers, one in 3-color camo in Normandy, the other in Poland in January 1945.
Airfix has also reboxed Academy's M10 gun motor carriage.
The upper and lower hulls show sharp surface detail, as does the vertical volute spring suspension with optional road wheels and sprockets.
But what really sets this kit apart is the comprehensive interior detail for the crew sections, including the driver's position with transmission, seats, radio, and controls, and the fighting compartment with floor, firewall, and plenty of rounds for the tank destroyer's main gun.
The turret follows suit with the gun, mantlet, and breech, as well as controls, seats, ready rounds, and machine guns. Personal gear and tools dress up the exterior.
A small photo etched brass fret gives light guards.
Decals give markings for 2 M10s in Northwest Europe after D-Day. One American from the 813th Tank Destroyer Battalion, the other in French service.
These are just 2 of the Academy armor kits that Airfix has released.
Others include the Panzer IV Alf H mid version, the British M3 Stuart Honey, and the Panzer 35T.
Airfix seems committed to 1/35th scale kits, and we may well see it producing its own before long.
Finally, something fun and light, Polar Light's 1/2500th scale USS Enterprise from Star Trek Discovery.
This is the 3rd kit from the latest Trek show in this scale.
And like the others, Shenzhou and Discovery, the Enterprise is a simple kit, just 29 parts, and designed to snap together.
The lower and upper halves of the primary hull have raised and recessed surface detail.
The secondary hull is split, and one-piece pylons join it to the warp nacelles, which have more surface detail than the rest of the ship, including open sides.
Clear parts fill those along with Bussard collectors, impulse engines, rear of the nacelles, and domes for the primary hull.
Other small details include the shuttle bay doors, deflector dish and its housing, as well as engine equipment.
A stand is included to display the ship.
As with the other kits in this range, the decals are outstanding. For the most part, you should be able to paint the basic body, indicated as gunmetal, then apply the decals. They will act with the base coat to provide nice panel detail.
The sides of the inner box give the color and decal instructions.
It's another fun Trek kit from Polar Lights. It'll look good next to these.
Look for reviews of the Fury and Tomcat in upcoming issues of FineScale Modeler magazine.
And you can find more new products in the January issue, on sale now.
Thanks for visiting FineScale.com. I'm Elizabeth Nash, and I wish you a very Merry Christmas.
And Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, and most of all, let's all go out and see Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. Just a plate of Oreos here, and that just gradually diminishes me.
We could do that. I have Oreos right out
There's
there.
more chocolate on our face by the end of
Oh,
the
that'd be funny.
It's the Stephen Wright gag about, I like my dental hygienist is really attractive, so before I go to an appointment, I always eat a box full of Oreo cookies.
That's good advice.